but we have unlimited opportunities, especially in New Mayapur.
Yeah.
Okay, accompanied by Kirtanananda Swami and Ayagriva, Prabhupada then traveled from Columbus to the new Vrindavan Farm project in the hills of West Virginia. When their car got stuck in a neighbor's garden, so Maharaj read this actually, but it's just one or two paragraphs before he stopped, so it will be catching back like this, catching. When their car got stuck in a neighbor's garden near the entrance to the property, Prabhupada decided to walk the final 2 miles along the muddy access road that led to the farm. The road soon ended, however, and Prabhupada and his 2 guides picked up a footpath entering the dense forest. For the past year, Prabhupada had corresponded with Kirtananda Swami and Ayagriva concerning New Vrindavan, and this correspondence had established the direction for Krishna-conscious country living. Prabhupada had said he wanted a community based on Vedic ideals, everyone living simply, keeping cows and working the land. The devotees would have to develop these ideas gradually. It would take time, but even in the beginning, the keynote should be simple living and high thinking. Because the community would remain completely aloof from the city, it would at first appear inconvenient and austere, but life would be peaceful, free from the anxieties of the artificial urban society based on hard work for sense gratification. And most important, the members of such a community would be serving Krishna and chanting his name. So of course, Sundar Maharaj made the point last week that this is very much apropos, as we say, for us here, because for devotees living here, because Prabhupada would be speaking about this simple living, high thinking, New Vrindavan, and here it's New Mayapur. New Vrindavan, New Mayapur, no difference. Prabhupada spoke little, making his way along the path, as if at his own home. They stopped beside a creek, and Prabhupada sat down on a blanket Kirtananda Swami and Ayagriva spread for him on the grass. "We are stopping for Kirtanananda," Prabhupada said. "He's tired." Prabhupada and his party drank water from the creek, rested briefly, and then continued. There's not so many rivers you can drink from nowadays. Actually, when I was small, I was living along the river Loire, which is the biggest river in France, and I have pictures of my mother, father, and we're doing camping on the side of the river and drinking the water from the Loire. Well, I don't think we could do it now. As they rounded a curve in the road, Prabhupada could see a clearing on the ridge ahead. A small frame house and a barn stood at the lower end of the ridge. These 2 ancient structures, Ayagriva explained, were the only buildings on New Vrindavan's 120 acres. As no vehicles traveled here, the paths were overrun with high grass. A willow spread its branches close by the old house. The settlement was the picture of undisturbed primitive life. Prabhupada liked the simple life at New Vrindavan, and whatever simple thing the devotees offered him, he accepted with satisfaction. They served him freshly ground wheat cereals cooked in milk, and he said it was wonderful. If I remember, actually, exactly the same thing was done here. Devotees brought Prabhupada freshly ground wheat cereals cooked in milk also in his room, and he liked it also very much. He said it was wonderful. When he saw the kitchen's dirt floor covered with cow dung, he approved. saying it was just like in an Indian village. Prabhupada also liked his room in the attic, directly above the temple room. He brought out the small Radha Krishna deities he had been traveling with for the last month and a half, and had his servant Devananda improvise an altar on a small table to one side of the room. Arranging his two trunks as a desk and placing a picture of his spiritual master on one of the trunks, Prabhupada immediately resumed his usual schedule. He would take his late morning massage sitting outside and then bath with warm water in an improvised outdoor shower stall. Kirtanananda Swami prepared Prabhupada's usual lunch of dal, rice and chapatis, plus some local pokwheat. I don't know what is pokwheat.
Buckwheat.
Pokwheat, yeah, I don't know. Some kind of wheat. The previous summer, Kirtanananda Swami and Ayagriva had picked and canned blackberries, which they now served Prabhupada as blackberry chutney. The chapatis were from freshly milled wheat, and everything was cooked over a wood fire. The best fuel for cooking, Prabhupada said, was cow dung. Wood was second, gas third, and electricity last. And as you could figure out nowadays, the last becomes the first. Now they don't even cook on gas most of the time. All the stoves now practically they are electricity. But there is a past time when Harikesh Swami was Prabhupada's servant, and Prabhupada had this system that when he had lunch, he wanted the devotee, the cook, to bring him freshly cooked chapatis, and they had to be warm. And Prabhupada said, useless if they are not warm, the chapatis. So Harikesh Swami was in the next room in the kitchen, and but there was only one electric stove, and he tried to make the chapatis, but they would, when sometimes you burn the chapatis, they make this black spot and they remain flat, like a slipper, shoe or something, it's like. So he would try, he would bring these chapatis to Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, what is this, And Harikesh Swami said, Prabhupada, sorry, but this is electric stove, it's impossible. So he tried again and again, he brought these chapatis. Prabhupada, got up, he went in the kitchen, and he rolled this chapati, put it on the electric oven, and it puffed perfectly, and Prabhupada took it and he put it in the face of Harikesh Swami like this, He put this chapati there. So Prabhupada could do on anything, but still, it's definitely the best is wood. It gives also some taste, actually, when you cook on wood, nice taste. And wood you will always get. Electricity, gas, not sure. Sometimes, an empty bottle, and then maybe we don't get gas, we have to get the gas coming out from our, burners, maybe it's coming from Russia or from, nowadays these things come from, wheat, some things, vegetables, they're coming from Peru, and some fruits, they're coming from Spain, and some, it's like in our plate, We could grow it just next door, but this is the system now, and the whole economy is completely topsy-turvy, because for this, you have to import things, and export things. I don't know if it's still the same, but in India they would export the ghee, and they would then again buy it from other countries. So sometimes they do like this, or sometimes they export the best quality, they export it, and they serve to their people, they serve the low quality. So that's why local farming, local producing And of course we will, Krishna made this arrangement that whatever grows in a place is actually what the people, what we need in this place to be fit, you know. Like, I mean, we eat lots of rice here, but actually rice cools the body, you know, but and usually it's eaten in countries where the weather is quite hot, like Asia, you know. And here we, comment du blé, comment on dit déjà? Hein? Wheat. Wheat. Blé. Okay, wheat. Here we have wheat, you know, growing more easily, and it's warm up the body because it's a cold country, you know. So Krishna, he made the arrangement also the seasons, you know. Oranges, they grow, you know, and you can eat oranges in the winter. Anyway, I'm not sure actually you could grow oranges here, but different vegetables, different fruits for different seasons. And Prabhupada, he made really something incredible because some people, you know, they grew this, they had these communes, these communities, you know, where they would try to live simply like this and to live, from the simple living and ecology and everything, but no spiritual knowledge. No higher taste actually, and it's difficult without higher taste to maintain this lifestyle when you have the mode of passion just next door, you know, just outside, and out, you know, it's like difficult. And some people, they brought spiritual knowledge, some swamis, and they brought spiritual knowledge to the West, but they just brought spiritual knowledge, and you know, and really no way to live it, practically speaking. But Prabhupada, he was exceptional in the sense that he created this revolution that he brought the knowledge and he brought also a lifestyle with it. So this is extraordinary. This is what we can call a revolution, because you have both the lifestyle and the knowledge, and he could make this change. So far, of course, we may not have been really successful in understanding this lifestyle and put it into application. Some communities have, but it's like difficult from the mode of passion, ignorance. We don't know actually even how to grow vegetables, how to work the land. We have to learn it again. Some school kids, they never saw a cow. They don't know from where the milk is coming, you know. Like they think it's coming from the shop or something. So that's Prabhupada's big contribution to the world. And Prabhupada, it was one of the first projects actually, New Vrindavan. I don't know how many temples at that time, but very few. Maybe New York, San Francisco, Toronto in Canada. Just few. And Prabhupada immediately, you know, he pushed and he appreciated this program in New Vrindavan. They had the first cow. First cow was called, you know the name of the first cow? I think it was Kalia. She was black. Okay, we continue. If anybody wants to say something, please feel free. And Prabhupada would Prabhupada we see also, simple living was in the mode of goodness. Prabhupada would have his program, same program everywhere. He was managing a movement without running, you know, like we do. We think sometimes we have to run when we do so many things. Sometimes, you know, they bought Prabhupada a watch, you know, these watches, they were the first ones, you know, that you put them and they recharge by your movements, you know. But it was always, the battery was always empty, but because Prabhupada was not moving enough, his arm, so it would not recharge, you know. So he could do this. This is pure goodness, you know. You can do many things without running like a crazy, you know, passionate fool. Prabhupada would have his program, you know. It's like when you read that his massages, they would last sometime 2-3 hours. 2-3 hours. You can imagine massaging somebody for 2 hours, and all the servants like Sutra Shruta Kirti Prabhu and others, and Harisori Prabhu, they said that Prabhupada would say, it's not hard enough, and they would they were strong, very strong guys, very strong young devotees. And Prabhupada said, do it stronger, and Prabhupada was like straight like this, anybody, old man, he would have collapsed under the force of the massage. Prabhupada was like a rock, Yeah, so this, not only simple living means, not depending too much on technology and things, but simple living means also simple and regulated life, actually in a mode of goodness. He would take his late morning massage sitting outside and then bath with warm water in an improvised outdoor shower stall. Okay, Kirtananda Swami prepared Prabhupada's usual lunch of dal, rice and chapatis. Okay. Prabhupada spent much of the day out of doors under a persimmon tree about 100 feet from the house. There he would sit and read at the low table one of the men had built. Often he would look up from his reading and gaze across the deep valley to the distant ridge where the forest met the sky. I think there are some photos of this. Actually, Prabhupada gave a series of lectures in New Vrindavan at that time. It's very inspiring, actually. He's quoting a lot of Sanskrit from Sridhar Swami. And it's beautiful, very, very beautiful classes on the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. You can listen to them sometime. Yeah, there are some photos. In the late afternoon, devotees would gather under the persimmon tree with Prabhupada, sitting and talking with him until after sunset. They saw Prabhupada's living with them as a practical demonstration of New Vrindavan's importance. If he, the greatest devotee, could be satisfied living simply and chanting Hare Krishna in this backwoods setting, then they should follow his example. Comparing New Vrindavan to the Vrindavan in India, Prabhupada said that New Vrindavan was in some ways better, since Vrindavan, India was now congested with worldly men. What to speak of today? What to speak of today? 500 years ago, the Goswami, followers of Lord Chaitanya, had excavated the sites of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, and only pure devotees had lived there. But in recent years, Vrindavan had become a place for materialists and impersonalists. New Vrindavan, however, should admit only the spiritually inclined. In Vedic society, Prabhupada said, everyone had been satisfied to live like this, in a small village beside a river. This is another point, that you see all the villages and towns, they're always along a river, usually. Why? I mean, it's like the answer is obvious. You need water. This is one of the first commodity you need. We devotees in New Mayapur, they know this very well, that there's been a struggle with water here, because we have a pump and we have to dig the water from underneath, and then sometimes there was not enough. And even this water problem now is serious problem. So that's why all the big rivers, the civilization, they would settle along the rivers. Same thing everywhere, actually, same thing. This is one of Chanakya Pandit. He says that you should not go to a place where there is no friend, no doctor, no temple, no river. You need a doctor in case, emergency case. You need a friend also. You don't have a friend, life is not nice. So here we have a doctor, we have friends, we don't have a river, and we have a temple. Chanakya Pandit said 4 things Prabhupada would call this. New Vrindavan, however, should admit only the spiritually inclined. In Vedic society, Prabhupada said, everyone had been satisfied to live like this in a small village beside a river. Factories were unnecessary. Prabhupada wanted this Vedic way of life for the entire world, and New Vrindavan could serve as a model for the benefit of the masses. New Vrindavan had no phone, and mail had to be fetched by a 2-mile walk. In this, Prabhupada said New Vrindavan was like Vrindavan, India. Both Vrindavan lacked in modern amenities. Well, now the rickshaw-wallahs, they have the mobile phone to take their, they don't take cash, they take credit cards now, the rickshaw-wallahs. This Kali Yuga is progressing very quickly, actually, very quickly. And one day Prabhupada said one day he was in his room upstairs here, and he looked from the window, and he saw the devotees taking lunch on the grass. And he had, many times they said that he had like a tear in his eye, and seeing all the devotees taking prasadam. And he said one day, thousands of people will come take shelter of these places. And we saw one during the COVID time, not long ago. Mataji Ganga, it's true, no? During the COVID time, there was a surge of people here. It's like we saw so many people that we didn't see long time, It's like, cities were locked down and people were coming here like anything. Devotees were, even though we are supposed to leave only a few people, there was like so many people here. So, sometimes the external circumstances, they force us like this in our life, but we should not wait actually until the external circumstances, they force us to take up the good things. We should understand that the other way of life is artificial, and this is actually the real way of life. This difficulty of lacking modern amenities, however, coupled well with the Vaishnava philosophy that modern amenities were not worth the trouble required to get them. A devotee accepting whatever nature provides spends his time and energy in spiritual life. New Vrindavan's only cow was a black and white crossbreed named Kalia, and Prabhupada would drink a little of her milk morning, noon and night. I haven't tasted milk like this in 65 years, he said. One day he predicted New Vrindavan would have many cows, and their udders would be so full that the dripping milk would muddy the pastures. Although people in the West were blind to their great sin of cow slaughter and its grievous karmic reactions, he said New Vrindavan would demonstrate to the world the social, moral and economic advantages of protecting the cow and utilizing her milk rather than killing her and eating her flesh. You went to the Goshala? You saw the cows? Mataji Manjwali is one a coward gopi taking care of the cows.
She will look like me.
Huh?
She will look like me.
Yeah. We have a few coward boys and coward girls here in New Mayapur. I mean, I'm sitting here talking about these things, but I'm completely ignorant about this subject actually. And I never been in touch with cows, but I can appreciate at least that. And just to see them, when they're going around with their bells, it's like creating such a nice atmosphere. There's a class of Prabhupada speaking here, and it was during summer of 1976, and the windows were open, because it was so hot. That year it was especially hot, and you can hear in the class, it's recorded, you can hear the cow mooing from the window, Okay. Prabhupada wanted the new Vrindavan devotees to build cottages. A cottage, I think, is a small wooden house. Huh? He wanted many buildings, even if at first they were primitive. Many buildings mean many people. Otherwise, you don't need many buildings, you know. And he gave a plan for a simple structure of baked mud. Baked mud. Baked mud means brick, actually. If you bake mud, it makes a brick, isn't it? He also wanted a Krishna-conscious school, and the country, he said, would be the best place for it. That was also part of New Mayapur at one point. When I came first to New Mayapur, there were 70 kids in the school year. A school with 70 kids, international, you know. It's like they would go on Harinam in tours when I was living, and they had at that time, they had two big buses like tourist bus, you know, full with devotees. You know, they would go, and one bus was just for kids. You know, and you would see this in the center of tours, you know, like 80 devotees, you know, on Harinam with 40 kids, half of them with boots, country boots, and can imagine, you know. So you need practical things for a community. You need a school. Yeah, if you have a school, actually, it would, and it's like run properly, it would attract lots of people, because all the grihasthas, they have kids, and nowadays it has become also big problem to raise kids in this environment, because, you know, people are not crazy. I mean, in one sense, the demoniac people, they are not crazy. They know that if you influence the people from their childhood, you can do whatever you like with them in the future, practically. So now I think they reduce the age, you know, that now they put it, I mean, it's like the kids at 3 years old or something, Ganga, 3 years old, Ganga, Mataji, 3 years old, they have to go to school or something now?
Yeah.
3 years old, they are forced to go, you know, cannot remain with the parents. And what do they do if you don't send them to school? They come and they take them. Can you imagine, you know, because they, for different reasons, because of course, you know, they push the women and so to go work, and now the families are not families anymore, so the kids are with this parent is working, that parent, you know stepfather, stepmother, and it's like it's a big mess. So now it's becoming such a problem for the parents to keep their children at home, so that, you know, okay, it's welcome in one sense, you know, 3 years old, okay, you know, send them to school and let them be brainwashed with this materialistic philosophy. So for devotees to have a place with a school somewhere, it's like very attractive, you know, very attractive. But you need houses for the grihasthas, and if you have a school, means families. You know, I think you cannot avoid, if you want to grow a community, to have families with kids and school and everything one day. The city is made by man and the country is made by God, Prabhupada said, paraphrasing the British poet Cowper. The young students should learn reading, writing and arithmetics, and at the same time they should become pure devotees. In their play, they could imitate the pastimes of Krishna and his coward boyfriends, with one child massaging Krishna, another wrestling with Krishna, just as in the spiritual world. The woman in New Vrindavan, Prabhupada said, should care for the children, clean the temple, cook for the deities, and churn butter. There is one Mataji in Canada, they raised their kid, just, they made the whole education around Srimad Bhagavatam. What's the name of this devotee? He's a PhD now, you know, he's very well known. He's very young, he was one of the youngest PhDs, I think, basically in America. and he had all his education just on Srimad Bhagavatam. Forgot his name. You can see many classes from him. And there was one during the Prabhupada's time here in Mayapur. There was a school, and one Mataji, Jyotirmayi Mataji, she's a French devotee. She's still living and still a devotee. And she was a teacher before being a devotee. So she was she was one of the teachers, and in Prabhupada's rooms upstairs, she was explaining the curriculum of the school. And she was saying, children, we're teaching chemistry, or biology, I think. Papa said, what is this nonsense biology? Things are already going on, you don't need biology, things in the nature, things are already going on. And Prabhupada pushed for these main things. He said, good reading, good writing, Sanskrit. He said Sanskrit also would really sharpen their intelligence, and some mathematics, little history, geography, not so much more, and all these subjects nowadays, it's just incredible, My daughter, she's big, but she's still trying to know where to go to study, which subjects to study. And, I tell her, just read me the list of things, and we pick up one you like. But when she reads the subjects, I never heard there's these special things for anything now they do a subject, like you study a subject for, I don't know, like ridiculous things, and I don't know if they find jobs with this afterwards, It's like so complicated. Anyway, this is a big subject, education of the children nowadays, because they're forcing actually a curriculum. You cannot avoid, they come and check if your kids, they know. But you can do the minimum on certain subjects, whatever they require, and and tell them the useful things, useful stuff. Prabhupada said they should play, Krishna's games, Krishna Leelas. He had many plans for New Vrindavan, and he was giving only idea seeds with few details. You developed it to your heart's content, he told Kirtanananda Swami. An ideal Vedic community with the members producing all their own food and necessities was Prabhupada wanted. Unless the devotees at New Vrindavan would become self-sufficient, he said there was no use in their occupying such a big piece of land. Even before Prabhupada's visit to New Vrindavan, he had requested Kirtanananda Swami and Ayagriva to plan for 7 temples on the property. These 7 temples should be named after the major temples of old Vrindavan: Madan Mohan, Govindaji, Gopinath, Radha Damodar, Radha Raman, Shyama Sundar, and Radha Gokulananda. Prabhupada said he would personally secure Radha Krishna deities for each temple. I don't think it has been done so far, but you can predict that one day it will be done, because whatever Prabhupada said, one day it comes out to manifest. And it has been done in New Govardhaniko village. I've never been there. Somebody has been there? New Govardhaniko village? No? So it has been done, and His Holiness Radhanath Swami has made these places, replicas of Vrindavan actually.
Where is it?
Huh? It's in India. It's I think in 1 hour from Mumbai or something. Yeah, big community. Very, very exemplary. Lots of brahmacharis. They're all PhDs actually, most of them. And now they're living simple living. They're growing all kinds of different vegetables, flowers. And they actually gets a lot of prizes from the Indian government for the example of saving water, how to use water and natural energies. They're constructing mud houses, nice big houses. They have so many temples like these, small temples. They do yoga retreats for the Westerners. They have a big center in New York called Bhakti Center. It's very, very nice, old building. They have a presentation there, very much modern for the youth. Not only temple, but like yoga and lectures and Ayurveda and everything. And they have this also in New Govardhan, Eco Village. So they invite groups of people from the West to go for yoga retreat, kirtan retreats, Ayurvedic retreat. Lots of it's funny because Gauranga Prabhu was is the president there. He's telling a story how one day Radhanath Maharaj told him, "You get a donkey from Govardhan Eco Village." He said, "What, a donkey? What for?" And it was like, why a donkey in India? I mean, everywhere donkey is not reputed as a very useful animal or very intelligent animal. And Gauranga Prabhu said, "But a donkey, but why?" He said, "Don't worry, just get a donkey." Because they didn't have so many guests actually at that time from the West. And that Gauranga Prabhu said, "But who will take care of the donkey?" Maharaj said, "You." He said, "Oh my goodness," he said, "My ego got released." So finally, because Radhanath Maharaj, he said, "Okay, sometimes the spiritual master says something, you have to do it even if you don't understand why, And then he got a donkey for New Govardhan Eco Village. And he said that then they brought one of the first yoga group from the West. And he was showing off the property everywhere around. This is where we grow food, this is our natural water system, and this is that. And okay. And finally they came to the donkey. And he said, "Oh, a donkey, And actually they asked Gauranga Prabhu, they said, "Oh, you have a donkey. And why is it for?" Gauranga said, "Actually, I don't know." And they said, actually, Radhanath Maharaj said, "You just tell them that, we keep it just to brush it and to make it happy, And he said this to the people. Actually, we brush it and we keep it. And then they became so impressed, And they said, "Oh, that's wonderful, keep a donkey just for making it happy and brushing it." And they started to brush it, And then he understood, what's Radhanath Maharaj had the vision, and he became so favorable. They said, "Okay," this was a big group. They said, "We choose this community for a yoga retreat. We will all come here because you have a donkey." I'm not saying we should have a donkey in Yumapur, but it's like, sometimes it's funny. Anyway. Okay, we read one or more 2 paragraphs. It was inevitable that Prabhupada leave New Vrindavan. Letters from London, Los Angeles, and San Francisco compelled him to travel. On the day of his departure, the New Vrindavan devotees teased him, saying he couldn't go. Kirtananda Swami went so far as to say they would block his way on the road, but Prabhupada corrected him. "You can't do that to the spiritual master." Accompanied by Kirtananda Swami and the New Vrindavan devotees, Prabhupada walked along the forest path. The New Vrindavan countryside was verdant, the summer air hot and moist. Prabhupada was silent. He had come here to encourage his disciples, and he himself had also become encouraged. Here was simple village life, as Krishna himself had lived it, depending on the land and the cow. That cow, Kaliya, had given such nice milk. New Vrindavan's cows were not ordinary. They knew they would not be killed. So far, only a few devotees were here, but by Krishna's grace, more would come. Prabhupada and Kirtananda Swami walked together along the forest path, saying little, but their mutual understanding was deep. Prabhupada hadn't given him many specific instructions, a few words, while sitting or walking together outdoors, a gesture, a facial expression of pleasure and or concern. Kirtananda Swami could understand, however, that New Vrindavan was very dear to his spiritual master and should become dear to him also. Prabhupada assured him that because the devotees of New Vrindavan were centered on chanting Hare Krishna, serving the deities, and protecting the cows, Krishna would bless them with success. The community was already successful, and Krishna would continue to protect the devotees against all impediments and difficulties. At the end of the 2-mile walk, Prabhupada, surrounded by his followers, stood beside the car that was to take him to the airport in Pittsburgh, from where he would fly to Los Angeles. His suitcase, which had come out on a horse-drawn car, were loaded into the car's luggage compartment, and Prabhupada got in the back seat. Amid cries of Hare Krishna and Prabhupada, the car pulled out onto the country highway, and Prabhupada continued chanting Hare Krishna on his beads. So I think we can stop here. It's the end of the paragraph of the chapter. Yeah, paragraph. Any reflection on what you read? Any comment? Any practical realization from devotees who are already doing this in New Mayapur? Cow protection, chanting Hare Krishna.
I just, yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Sorry, I come a little bit late, but just like to share how, when we have this new open days for new people in New Mayapur,
Yeah.
and when people see the book art, they getting really impressed. They really like to ride, and they always comes to the bulls, to pet them, to make some picture with them. I think so is, the animals, they have some attraction to people.
They attract people.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
attract
okay.
people. So I think so a good way to preach to people, to show that we taking care of them, and they can interact with them in this place as well.
People they go to see the wonders of the world. They go to see the Eiffel Tower. They go to see the Peace Tower. But this lifestyle is becoming a wonder now, because there are so few people living like this. So they will come and see, this is another wonder, and this is touching them, because when you go to these museums, and actually they just, what do they see? They see matter, we hear so much of Eiffel Tower, but it's a piece of steel, a huge piece of steel. I think it's the symbol of Kali Yuga, the age of iron. You could say in France, this is the symbol of age of iron, and no interaction actually. The only thing they have there, is the cafes and restaurants. The only business going on really nicely. Because after all, after visiting the dead paintings or dead sculpture, I'm not against sculpture, I really like art, but still, it's like seeing buildings, and it's not satisfying to the heart to see buildings, stones, and piece of metals,
It's very
What is really sad, huh?
It's very impersonal.
Impersonal.
Because you cannot have a
Rasa, relation
Yeah.
with buildings,
Yeah.
Okay, it can show us, like elevator consciousness and different cultures. But, a mode of living is really impressing with real people, real animals. And it's like, it's a wonder. I think personally that it's like biggest preaching we can do is having, like in this country, is like having a nice community running on nicely, simple, with houses, with people, with, and animals like this, and plus centered around God, of course. This is the main thing. It's not an ordinary community. This community is centered around God. We chant the holy names, and we chant together. We meet. It's like, of course, what is attractive also, if they feel a strong affection and strong relationships between the people living in that place, and what can unite us is, of course, the worship of God can all unite us above, our differences, But yeah, it's true. It's true that we did Padayatra in France, also. And people were so attracted to see the bulls, actually. It was one of the, at that time we did in the 90s, we did this program. And in the 80s, 90s, people, every time they would speak about us in the newspaper, would always criticizing us, most of the time, It was the time difficult for any spiritual group, it was very difficult at that time, But when we did Padayatra, we had no negative newspaper clips. At best, it was just neutral, and sometimes appreciative also. We are received in small towns. We are received by the mayor, with big table and drinks, And, So, simple living, This is also an idea that people have about monks in this country, everywhere, but in this country, a tradition that monks they should live simply, So if we show this example, also it's very attractive and very genuine for them, also. Yeah, all glories to the devotees working on this project. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sankirtanya ki jai.